his computer.
Mm-hmm.
I can't do that. I gotta lay in my bed. I make movies
Yeah.
and get in the bed and put on the big screen TV and look at
I like to lay down and look at TV too. I want to get an 80
them.
inch. I need to be able to see it.
Yeah, I see all these guys with these huge TVs. A
Mm-hmm.
friend of mine, he just died recently too. He had one of them, must have been 80-inch, huge thing sitting in the living room. Yeah, I got this one and this one other big one downstairs that I never look at. I don't never hardly go down there.
It looks like it. Like the last party was it. It took you out. I see all the remnants of just like that last party.
That was years ago.
It went down in
No,
the
I
basement.
used to go down there, like when I mop the floors and stuff up here, I'd go down there and mop the floors. And
Did you
I'm
throw
getting
parties
lazy with that.
as a teenager too?
Pardon me?
Did you ever throw parties as a teenager?
Oh, regularly, almost every weekend. Almost every weekend. We call it get-togethers. I remember one weekend my mother said, "Ain't no parties here, ain't no get-togethers here." And that's some other word we used to use. Ain't none of that here. Okay, and that's the first time she ever said that.
Ain't no gatherings.
Yeah, so that weekend came and it was quiet. She said, "Where's all your friends?" We said, "Ma, you told us no get-togethers, no gatherings, no nothing." Well, you could have had a few people over because she was used to all that noise and the music going and dancing and all that. And now all of a sudden there's a weekend, there's no music, no dancing, nothing going on. And then I guess she said she missed it. I never forgot that. She said, no music, no dancing, no nothing. And then that weekend came, we didn't have it. Where is it? Well, you could have had a few of your friends over.
Were the parties like with the Black Panthers and like
No.
cool people, or is it just like school kids, just random people just getting together, dancing, eating food?
We'd all just get together and, it was party time. I mean, we'd actually be dancing to almost every record. And,
Like
just,
James Brown? Like
yep, James Brown, everybody else.
The
Kept
Temptations?
We kept all the latest music. Yeah, then when I moved out, I got married and I moved out. Then she just told me about how quiet the house was because Alfred and um, Robert didn't do nothing that much. I was the one that kept everything going.
What was it like when you became a dad?
Oh, everything was cool.
Did you see the birth, or were you in a different room?
At that time, you didn't see the births. I mean, you had to be, you was in a waiting room until the child was born. Then they'd bring the baby out there for you.
Did you know in advance that it was a boy?
We didn't do none of that.
Just you found you were really waiting. Did you get to see any of the births? Have you ever seen a birth? Like, were you ever in an emergency? so a baby being born. Did you ever want to name one of your kids Harold?
No.
You decided to end it with you?
Yeah, my mother talked me out of that too. Because everybody was, Harold Jr. and so on. And I said, nope, could be somebody different. So I took my middle name. My middle name is Harold Douglas Cayne, so that's how Douglas got his name.
Ooh.
Alfred got named after my brother Alfred. I don't remember what the story was with Robert.
So when grandma and you guys are like living in New York, is it like segregation or is everybody just like hanging out with everybody?
In the circle I traveled, everybody just sort of hung out with everybody. We didn't feel any segregation, you know. Everybody just hung out because we had white friends. And that was the first thing that my grandmother told me something one time. I laughed because I didn't know what she was talking about. Don't y'all bring none of them white gals in this house? Because we had all kind of friends. Don't y'all bring none of them white gals in this house? And we laughed. You know what you talking about.
Did y'all talk about like slavery and stuff?
Mm-mm.
Or like what was
Uh-uh.
grandma's parents? Like did they do stuff or were they just like free people too?
Whose parents?
Grandmas. So like
My mother's
your
mother.
grandmother.
My mother's mother was blind. And I remember she was nice. She lived in an apartment in 116th Street and Lenox Avenue in Harlem. Lived in that corner building. And she knew every inch of that apartment. We're kids and we always want bread. We want to eat some bread. And she'd be scooting down there and she was blind. And she stopped us from getting bread out the bread box. And she'd give us a couple of pieces of bread because we could eat up a whole loaf of bread in a minute
Yeah.
and drink up milk. But no, she was blind. I remember I think that was the first funeral I ever went to when she died. My father's mother, my grandmother,
What's your grandma's name?
Lucy Cayne.
She have a middle name?
I don't know. We always knew about Lucy. Everybody called her Lucy. We called her Grandma, but everybody called her Lucy. And that's how I knew her name was Lucy. And she was heavy set, on the fat side.
Really?
My mother's mother was thin, just like my mother. And my grandmother, my father's mother was fat.
And what's your grandfather do?
Didn't know none of them. I don't think none of them were alive.
Wait, your grandmother's husband?
Yeah.
Oh, he was gone already?
When I was a kid, she didn't have, I said she was blind, but there was no man. So she didn't have no man there. I don't know, what the story was with her. And
so then,
my father's mother, same thing. She lived with us, but there was never a man, so I never got
what's
into
your
that.
father's mother name?
That's one is Lucy Cayne.
Wait, so then what's your mother's name?
I knew her name too. Ricks, Grandma Ricks. Yeah. Well, that's all we knew. Tilly. They called her Aunt Tilly. Yeah. Her name was. We called her Grandma Ricks because her last name was Ricks. So it was always Grandma Ricks. But I remember hearing somebody saying something about Tilly. Her name must have been her first name, but you didn't call people by their first name then.
Mm. So were they all just housewives? Whoa.
Mm-hmm.
Grandma Cayne.
Oh well, my father's mother worked. She worked in a laundry. They had commercial laundries back then. I don't know if they have them now. Because we used to walk down there to meet her coming from work because it was a big hill. And like I said, she was heavy. So we used to walk down there at a certain time of the evening. We always knew everybody got together. My mother and my brothers and all that. We get together and walk down there to meet Grandma.
Mm-hmm.
and then come back up
Slowly
there.
walk up there.
So,
What was New York like back, like growing up?
New York was nice. It was not all that violence that's there. It was actually kind of country. They still had a barn next. There was two apartment houses, one on each side of the street, and next to our apartment house, there must have been a farm there at one time because the regular house was there, what they call the master's house.
Mm-hmm.
Then there was a little small house back, beyond that, and all that property there was open. And then there was a barn there. They still had a regular barn there because as kids we used to go play in that barn, climbing up on the rafters and
Oh
stuff.
wow.
And I remember we was in there one day climbing on those rafters, and we came down and we could hear the barn squeaking. And we ran out of the barn. And as soon as we got out of that barn collapsed. It just fell down and we ran, to get out there.
God.
So nobody know we was in there.
Yeah.
But the guy that owned that property was a white guy. I never forgot, he had a Volkswagen. And half the time it wouldn't start. And he asked us kids to push the car to get it started.
Mm-hmm.
And we pushed the car and he'd get it started down there. They had a running board on it. And we can get on the running board. He'd turn around and come back up the block and drop us off, And that was the biggest thrill, to get on that car and get on that running board and get to ride back up the street. But things, I don't know, we did things which were so-called bad things then, like they had what they call a rag man. I don't know if you know. They still had horse and buggies then.
Oh snap!
So you got to remember back then.
Like a whole.
Yep.
Yeehaw.
Mm-hmm. Exactly right. So he had a big long buggy on the back. They just people put rags in. You could sell them rags.
Mm.
You could sell rags and you could sell newspapers. My mother would collect a whole bunch of rags and then put them in a big bag, and we take them out there. When the rag man came, and he'd weigh them and give you 50 cents, 75 cents, depending on how much the bag weighed. And same thing with newspapers. If you got enough newspaper, you can sell them. So our thing was, when he came up the street, we'd hop on the back of his wagon and ride. And like I said, it was a horse and buggy thing.
Yeah.
And we'd hop on the back of the wagon. He'd take the whip and he'd trying to whip us off of there. But that was the kind of stuff that we did that was, how you say, mischievous.
Yeah.
We'd want to go someplace and it's a long way off. And we used to walk a lot of places. I mean, walk, like, more even here and go downtown, But,
Miles.
yeah, we used to walk some places. Anyway, a lot of times we had a long, long walk. We'd say, let's see if we can hop the train, so we go under. They had a turnstile there. They didn't have that big U thing under it. It wasn't there. All they had was the turnstile.
Yeah.
And we get up there and make sure the guy wasn't looking at under the turnstile. Get on the train. But that was the mischievous stuff that we did,
Was there graffiti on the train?
No. Never saw no graffiti on the train.
Aww.
Yeah, I see all that stuff on inside and outside now.
You were on the beginning of the train when it was beautiful. I heard it was a work of art at the beginning. Mm-hmm. Like it was craftsmen in the beginning. Yeah, it's garbage now.
That squeaking that you keep hearing is a low battery, and one of them smoke detectors or something got a low battery in it.
Oh, I recognize it. No worries.
I ain't even look for it.
I of course kept one in my house. I was smart enough to keep one. I heard 42nd Street was a totally different place. Like it was more like swinger, like crazy. Like it was like, oh, you doing something naughty if you on 42nd Street. Like you didn't just hang out there.
I saw something on TV and I said, that's 42nd Street. It looked like there's a whole new ball game down there.
It's a movie theater. It's like family oriented, but right now it's a lot of homeless people.
Yeah.
So it's not really like for me. It's not desirable. It's full of homeless.
I used to
But
go down to 42nd Street because they had all those movies down there, and the
mm,
movies were real cheap, in comparison to the regular neighborhood movies.
yeah.
So I'd go down there and would sometimes hit 2 or 3 different movies and catch up on all the new films.
What was your favorite movie as like a kid?
I don't know. I like any kind of action movie,
Like Indiana Jones?
that type of stuff. But they didn't have no Indiana Jones then. I forgot who was there.
Oh no, Indiana Jones. Oh yeah, Indiana Jones kind of new. I don't know the action. I guess like the real Wild Wild West, the black and white.
Well, we like westerns. I didn't like Hopalong Cassidy. There, he was, I guess, white people's hero. I didn't like him because he get into a fight. He had one of them high hats on.
Mm-hmm.
He get into a fight, and no matter how bad that fight was, he never lost that hat. And that got to be a thing with a lot of these westerns.
Yeah.
They get into a fight, they never lost their hat.
Mm-hmm.
And that's the first thing that's gonna pop off your head when somebody hits you.
Yeah.
But they'd be fighting and fighting for days, boy, never lost the hat.
What other jobs did you have? So like you went in the army, and then you came out. Well, what did you do? Well, you traveled the world. You traveled the world.
I'm trying to think what I did. I worked at a factory, a knitting mills, Paris knitting mills. They made women's sweaters and cardigan outfits, stuff like that. I worked there and I got married because I used to bring my wife home all these different dresses, the newest dresses and sweaters and stuff, because we got them at a big discount. But after I left there, I wasn't hardly making no money there, and I asked the guy for a raise. And you know how they put you off, and I can't talk to the boss right now. He's in a bad mood, and that kept on up. So I quit, and I went job hunting, and I got a job at a chemical plant, and that's pretty much where I stayed. I sort of moved in, one area of it to another. The chemical plant that I worked at, I moved my way up to what they call a working foreman. Then they bought out a bigger place. They bought out a division of Inmont Chemical, and they sent me to New Jersey as a supervisor. And I stayed there for a while. I wasn't comfortable because I was driving 74 miles a day going back and forth to work, plus tolls on the George Washington Bridge.
So like 2 hours?
No, it should take me I can't even remember now, but probably at least an hour to get to work. Anyway, I worked there, and then I'm trying to think. Oh, the guy that used to be the plant manager in Long Island before they sent me to New Jersey came out here. He had a job offer out here. Some people, they were going to open up a business, and he was going to run it, be a plant manager. So he came out here, and then he sent for me and asked me would I come out and take a look at it. So they paid my way to come out here. At that time, it was 10 cents a mile. So you drive and turn in the bill. But gas was only, I don't know if it was 50 cents then. But they gave you 10 cents a mile, so you made out. And I came here and I was really impressed because this was a brand new company. They just built it. And everything in there was stainless steel. So I'm used to working in an old place where everything's all rusty and raggedy looking.
Mm-hmm.
Here, this place, everything was stainless steel. The pipes, the vessels, everything was just shining like silver out there.
Yeah.
So I was pretty impressed with it, and I talked to him, and we came up with an agreement. So I came out here. I went back, of course, and then I gave my 2-week notice and then came back out here. But they hadn't even gotten into production yet. They were still trying to get things together. And I stayed there for, I don't know, probably around 7 years, I guess, or more. And they closed down they were real slow, and they shut down, laid everybody off. And while I was laid off, I got a job for with not BP, one of the other oil companies. It wasn't BP. It was, oh shoot, I can't think of it. But it was one of the other oil companies I got a job for. And they made carbon black down there, and I didn't like it.
What's carbon black?
The stuff that makes your tires black. It's a powder, and that's really what because rubber is kind of reddish.
Oh.
But they put that stuff in it and makes them black. But anyway, I worked for them, and I'll tell you, they weren't cheap. They gave you everything. They gave you a good salary, plus there was overtime every day. You got to the point where I didn't answer my phone when they called up because I knew it was them, especially at a certain time they call up wanting you to come in and work overtime. You never had a day off. But you made good money.
But they was making this it's like a powder?
Yeah, it was a powder, and it was always on you. And they, you take a shower before you leave there. They gave you all these fancy stuff. They call it a liquid glove, which is stuff you can put on, and it's supposed to keep that from going into your pores. It didn't help. I remember my first day on the job. At the end of the day, I was changing my clothes out of my work clothes into my regular clothes. One guy said, "What are you doing?" I said, "I'm putting on my clothes to go home." He said, "Man," he said, "you better take a shower." He said, "Run your hand up your leg." You do that, and you do what, you see all that black.
Mm-hmm.
So, I took a good shower, and you go to bed at night. That's when I still had white sheets.
Mm-hmm.
And you wake up in the morning, you get up, and you see that black on the sheets. So I worked down there. Like I said, it was a good place. You had job satisfaction. At the end of the day, you really felt that you were satisfied with yourself, with your day's work.
Mm-hmm.
And I stayed down there. Then I got how did I get offer for BP? I'm trying to think. I don't remember if I went down there on my own or what. I think I did. Oh, I'll tell you what happened. I was out fishing, and one of the guys that was out fishing with me, he wanted a job at BP. So I went down there. I was driving that day, and he wanted to go down there and put in an application. That's how I got it. So I went down, I drove down there, and I'm sitting there, like, in the office here at a bench waiting while he's filling out the application. And I was laid off at the time. So I thought about it. I said, it's time for you to get your butt back to work. So so I went out and got an application, wrote it out, filled it out, and turned it in. And I got hired there. He didn't get hired. I got hired there.
Oh, no.
So.
Were y'all still friends?
Yeah.
Okay, good.
Mm-hmm. It didn't have nothing to do with,
With you?
Mm-hmm. So anyway, like I said, I worked down there 27 years. And then I decided to retire. And then when I got ready to retire, they didn't believe I was going to retire. They were taking bets. Cayne ain't going to retire because nobody bothered me.
Yeah.
I come in, do my stuff. 10 o'clock, I got my dark sunglasses on, laid back. But all of a sudden one day, something just hit me and says, I don't feel like working no more. And that kept on my mind. I went in and went out to the front office and put my papers in.
How old were you?
I retired, I was 63 when I retired.
Mm.
So that took care of that, and I ain't worked since. I didn't want another job.
Did you go traveling, or you just been like?
Oh yeah, I was out of the country 3 times in the next year.
Where'd you go?
I remember Jamaica and different places. Probably down in St. Thomas, because I think that's where I was traveling at that time. But I know I was out of the country 3 times that first year. I pretty much did most of what I like to do, in my life. I haven't got any regrets. The only regret I have, believe it or not, is that I got away from music. I used to
Mm.
like to play music, and we had a little neighborhood band, as you might want to call it. Everybody had some kind of an instrument and played it. And
What'd you play?
I played bass actually. I played bass and piano, a little bit of piano, but I played bass.
Did you have an afro at one point?
Mm,
Was it the really big one?
I don't know. I know when I used to swim, my hair would get down in my eyes. I always had to try to keep it braided up and back because it was real long and it get in my eyes.
So, what is like some of your favorite songs?
I don't even have favorite songs anymore. I just hear stuff you like. I'm more into into the jazz. I don't even really play music. Notice there's nothing up here to play music on.
No, there's a couple speakers.
Well, oh,
Yeah, look, you have a
that
Bose right in front of your TV.
that box is what is that?
and I
That's a
think
sanitizer.
and I think
I never opened it. It's been sitting there a year, and the amplifier that plays that stuff there is broken. It don't work. So none of those speakers work.
well, you got YouTube, you know. You can
Oh,
play any song. So you like Billie Holiday?
Billie Holiday, yeah, she was okay.
She's okay. Well, who's good to you? Who's like
it's just it's the type of music that you like. The style in which she sang. I mean, Billie Holiday was cool.
so
But
like who was like your poster girl?
oh, I don't know, Dinah Washington. In fact, isn't Dinah Washington still alive?
I'd have to Google that.
I thought I saw something. I mean, she was. Oh, she had gotten real heavy.
Hmm. What's like your favorite Oh wait, you told me you don't remember. Well, yeah, give me something. Like, what's your favorite memory of grandma?
I don't know.
Like when you were sick, did she do anything really nice? Did she ever let you skip school? Well, she let you sign up for the army, so that's
Mm-hmm.
pretty huge. She let you go to Europe. Like, she literally let you go to Europe. Like, that's amazing. Were there any wars going on at any of these times?
No, not exactly. They had the Cold Wars. No, they were still messing with Russia and all that kind of junk.
Mm. All right, what's your favorite memory of like each of your children?
Of each of my children,
Yeah.
I don't know.
You gotta give me something. What about Alfred? Do you know what their first words were?
Nope, don't remember. Probably daddy, because me and my wife used to be into it all the time about that. The first word is usually mommy or daddy. And the psychological thing was daddy was easier to pronounce than mommy.
Before I came, what did you remember about me?
What I remember about you was just when Robbie brought you all over and you all were little kids. But somehow you must have been my favorite because I always remembered your name, Annie. I didn't remember the other one's name. What's your sister's name?
Angelica.
Angelica's, yeah.
Angelica Irene.
Mm-hmm. But
Angelica Irene
and
Cayne.
then I remember trying to keep up with y'all in a sense, and just hearsay, because I remember you was getting into trouble, and I couldn't believe it. I figured it was Angelica that would be getting into problems, not you.
I've been misunderstood.
And then something happened. I think Ruby and I were together. It seemed like something went on. We was trying to get you, and couldn't for some reason, and I don't remember what it was, and don't even hold me, to it. But something was going on. We couldn't get you. I don't remember all the junk that was going on back then.
Yeah, it got messy for a while. But I definitely remember being in your
Well,
house.
it's an experience that you went through. It's over. Like I said, it's in your mind. It's a life's experience. And if you have any kids, you try to ease them away from it, so that they don't run into the same problem, which is a problem within itself.
Mm-hmm.
Because most parents try to lead their kids in the right direction, and the kids get rebellious, you know, and
Would you
because they
watch
don't
these?
understand. Is that what?
I was gonna say, would you watch these said kids? Because I'm gonna need a babysitter. You gonna watch them for me?
Sure. You get a baby. I'll be a babysitter.
Yeah.
How old are you now?
Cool. You know it's not nice to ask a lady her age.
Yeah, I know. How old are you?
I was born May 26, 1991.
So you what, 20 something?
Exactly. I'm forever 20 something. How old are you?
81.
Oh, wow. I didn't think you were in your 80s. I'm 31. I'm the same age as Cal, you call her. We were born the same year, yet everybody has his picture every year.
Well, it's going to be rough on you having kids now at this late age.
I know, and the
First,
shade.
first of all, just the amount of attention that you'd have to give to a kid now that you're not used to giving out.
Well, on Ramel's side, my mother's side, her brother had a baby at 60.
At 60? She's in trouble.
Yeah, I have a cousin.
She can't even take care of that baby because figure by the time she's 80 years old trying to take care of, that teenager.
My uncle did it. So like I don't know a lady who went to. Well, my girl cousin had a baby. She waited till she was like 34 or something. Like she was definitely in her 30s when she had her baby. But she waited till she found like everything, and it worked out for her though.
Okay, it works out for some people.
Yeah, for some. But see,
but
she has
your best bet. Your best bet is to is to have a child when you're almost in your 20s, teens and 20s, because you're still relating to what you went through coming up, and you can, try to guide yourself in raising your child, and you have some relationship because you're not that far apart in age.
Yeah.
The trouble is you got to be a parent and not a friend. Even though you're close in age, but you should be able to understand what this child is going through, or why they're doing what they're doing. Because I did it, and I just finished doing it a year ago.
Yeah. Wait, so how old were you when you became a dad?
I was in my 20s. I know that. I was in my 20s exactly when. I don't remember.
Running after all those boys. You managed to raise men who grew up very straight, narrow, like did what they had to do, are very like stable. Like that was very hard.
Their mother had a lot to do with it. Believe me, she was a good mother to them.
I mean, Michael though became a whole superstar. That's like crazy, yo. Like he's a
Mm.
whole celebrity. Met everybody. He met like presidents and mayors. What's Michael's whole name?
Michael Livingston is what his mother called him. He had was it Michael? No, it was Dawn. No, it was Michael Livingston is what his mother called him. He had his own studio and everything in New York, but I guess they kept breaking in there, stealing stuff because he had it in Harlem somewhere.
Oh,
And then
wow.
when you went to Costa Rica,
Mm-hmm.
I don't care where you went in Costa Rica, everybody knew him. Everybody knew him. I was out by the volcanoes, way on the other side, and everybody knew him out there. Then I was having a problem at the airport, and the guy asked me, he says, what are you doing? I said, I come to visit my son. He said, who's your son? I said, Michael Livingston. No more problem. Got right through.
Did they keep his land? Cause he had acres over there too.
He bought a farm, and I don't know, his wife was living in there. Then his sister was fighting for it. She wanted it. And she went down there. In fact, I talked to her a couple of weeks ago. She called me up from down there. And she's down there. So I don't know what the story is. I used to talk to his wife every now and then. I used to get her on Skype. And I used to talk to her every now and then. But I don't know what the story is with that land. I know that his sister wanted it. And I didn't think that was right, because he was married. He had a wife. And he died. So that property should go to his wife, as far as I was concerned. But the sister wanted it. And I know she went down. I know she's down there now because she called me up a couple of weeks ago. But she's down there. And the mother was down there. The mother died, though. And but the mother went down there, and she died. And now the daughter's down there. So I don't know what the story is with the land, but I know they were fighting for that land. And evidently, it had an area that you could make a beach on it.
Mm-hmm.
I knew about where it was at. He showed me, because when I went down there, he showed me about where it was at. So, going towards the volcanoes. But I don't know what's going on with it. Not interested. I don't want it.
Is he from Costa Rica?
He was born here. His mother was from Costa Rica.
He was born like in Ohio or in New York?
In New York.
Oh, snap. Like he from Queens?
Mm-mm. He lived in Brooklyn.
Oh, okay. So he was born in Brooklyn, and then they went back to Costa Rica.
Yeah, I don't know what the story was. I didn't. I lost contact with her for quite a while. But evidently, he must have been going back and forth to Costa Rica because he can speak fluent Spanish. He does a lot of music, all in Spanish. I never did like the Spanish music. And they had a thing about it. I was surprised. I had the TV on one day, on one of them programs where they're doing stuff, and they had a thing on there about him. And they showed him singing. And as far as you could see, man, was people, huge crowds. He was up there with Ziggy Marley.
Did you ever go to any of his concerts?
Mm-hmm.
Did you ever see him perform live?
No, I don't think so. It seems like I'm not sure.
Do you have a favorite song?
Oh, I got some albums of his. He got some songs on there I like. He does the stuff in Spanish I don't like, especially because I can't understand it. And then, I don't know. He did a couple of real nice songs that I like. That one I was playing on the radio, and I tell you that was him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that was one of the ones I like.
That was like a reggae song.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Well, that's what he did, reggae.
Would you have done it different? Like if you could have had him with like his brothers.
I don't know. What it is, and everything's turned out well enough for everybody.
Talk about wonderful. You are one lucky duck. He became a whole celebrity. Lucky. Hmm. Do you know if he ever made a song about you?
Not that I know
I wonder if there's like a song that exists. Because, men and the fathers. So, do you have a favorite child?
of. All equal.
But you telling me Alfred's not your favorite?
Well, I guess if you want to look at it that way, yeah, I guess he is. Yeah, when I look at Douglas and then Mark, yeah, I never hear from them. So yeah, I guess it is Alfred.
Does Douglas have kids? Oh yeah,
Yeah,
yeah. You say he does have kids.
all of them got kids.
Where do they live?
I'm not sure. I don't keep up with the other ones. Me and Douglas definitely don't get along.
Well,
But I think he's in Florida. I think.
What do you disagree about?
I can't get into that.
Not bad. Let go. Possibly. Or you should go on a tour and go visit everybody like I'm doing.
Do what?
Go on a tour like I'm doing. Just visit everyone.
Oh.
Just say, hey, how you doing? How you going? Mm. What's like the best advice you can give me with everything I've told you?
Yeah, I've listened to your whole thing. I was thinking about you last night. I said, your life and things that you've gone through are pretty close to mine. I mean, I never been in jail or nothing, but um, I said your lifestyle, things that have happened, it's been pretty close to mine. But your personality will get you through. I think you're a mature person. You've been through enough stuff, and you realize what's going on in life. And I think you're gonna be all right.
Thank
I
you.
think you're gonna be all right. Like I said, if you ever want to decide to change up style and move out this side of the country, let me know.
Well, I definitely just have to get a car, get the like, get through school, get my license, so that way I can work no matter where I go. Teeth cleaning is global and international. I also figured I can make money on vacation because it's interchangeable. Your teeth and stuff will never change, no matter what part of the country I'm in. It's gonna be a different machine, it's a different plug, but it's gonna be the same tools. So as soon as I get that, I'm going everywhere. But I just gotta get the car first. There's no way. I'm not trying to like. I know I can do it, but like the amount of energy I'm gonna have to resort to use to travel 4 hours back, and that's 4 hours without traffic, and with the bus being right there, like not having to wait. And I can't really see myself in the winter time or in the rain waiting on the bus again. Like I've done it in life. I have. That's how I know it. I'm like, I'm not doing it again. I'm just past that point. Like I hope some of these dealers, well, they should be open.
Today is Sunday, right?
Yeah.
Oh, that's tomorrow. The 4th of July. It's a holiday.
Yeah.
And then you gotta leave. All right, next trip.
Right. But I mean, if it's a good price, I wonder like if I have to get it here and they can ship it, or like, how does that work?
If you bought it here, they'll give it to you. If your finance and everything went through, you're gonna get the car right there, and usually they okay in an hour or something like that.
So how would I get a car from here there? Like I'd have to get it shipped, right?
No, from here to where?
Back to Jersey. Like I'd
You
have to
drive
drive
it.
it.
You drive it. They give you plates. They give you 30-day temporary plates that you can use, and you drive it back to New Jersey. And you got 30 days to go down to the Bureau of Motor Vehicles and transfer those plates onto wherever state you're from, at.
Hmm. I'd probably get it shipped though. That's a lot of miles.
You don't want to do that. You want to drive the car back.
To start, that's a
Why
lot
are
of
you going to have it
miles.
shipped? They're probably, well, that's okay. That's up to you.
No, if it's a reasonable amount, if it's just
Mm.
something outrageous, of course not.
It's going to be outrageous.
Uh, I
But
figure
then,
like people are always on the highway with a
one,
bunch of cars.
well, like I said, you can't find out tomorrow because they're going to be closed. So,
Yeah,
and you
then
leave
I'd
at
be
6 o'clock in the morning.
word the crack of dawn.
Yeah.
I'm gonna try in Jersey. I think my credit score is good enough.
Mhm.
I'm gonna go to the Subaru and see about getting your car. See what they tell me.
Well, first of all, think about what kind of car you want. Then maybe go on the internet and see what that car is worth. What you should pay for it. They got a thing, and I've seen it, where it says how much they're going to ask for the car,
Mm-hmm.
how much it's worth, and how much you should pay for it.
Oh, the blue book.
It's yeah, something like that, blue book, but
Yeah.
it's got all three prices on there. So you at least have an idea. They can come up and tell you anything. You know what I mean? And you don't know. You figure, oh, okay, this guy, he's being honest with me. This car is worth $40,000, whereas the
Mm-hmm.
car might not even be worth 30. But you don't know.
Yeah.
So you gotta, if you can, narrow it down to say 5 cars that you're interested in, and then I would suggest. I know it's kind of rough to get a new car. The reason I say that is because if you buy a brand new car, everything is covered under warranty. Everything is covered. You're not gonna have to worry about doing anything.
Mm-hmm.
Oil changes, nothing. It's all covered. If you buy a used car, you don't know what could be wrong with it. You
Mm-hmm.
know, let's say I find out my transmission is about to go out on my car. It's riding all right, but something's going on, and I find out the transmission is about to go out. So I go down to the dealer and trade mine in. They're gonna ride it around the block. Everything seems to be all right. I get my new car. Now whoever buys that used car has got a problem. You
Mm-hmm.
know, so you never know. I mean, 9 times out of 10, I guess everything would be all right with the car, depending on how much of a warranty they're gonna give you or guarantee they're gonna give you on the car. You know, you want it from soup to nuts for your first year. If anything goes wrong with it in the first year, you bring it back to the dealer and they gotta fix it.
Mm-hmm.
That's if you buying a used car. But if you get a new car, then that's all covered. You don't have to worry about it. And you might not get the car you want, but get something that you can afford. You know.
Well, I just really want a SUV. Like that's the only thing I know. Cause like with those hills, and I live on the hill, I just feel like
You
to
feel more
actually use the car and feel comfortable behind the wheel, it needs
okay.
to be an
Well,
SUV.
that's what you want, whatever
But
it
like
is.
the year and the style and all that's the part where I'm like, well, I don't care. I'll get whatever to
Yeah.
match my budget and have the type of car versus like having to get a lesser car because it's a sedan
Mm.
and it stay in the budget. Like,
Well, you better try to stay in your budget because you still got things like rent to pay. You're gonna need. So your two highest things are your rent and your car payment.
mm-hmm,
But then you're gonna have other things. You still gotta get your nails done, get your hair done. You're still gonna have odds and ends that you're gonna have to buy. From around your house.
yeah,
So you can't just cut it where I can make my car payment, make my rent, and I got enough money for gas, and that's it.
yeah.
You know, you got to have that unexpected thing. You know, you get sick. Anything can happen. When you get serious and get ready, let me know. And let's talk, talk about it anyway. I mean, you always have the final decision.
Yeah. No, I'm gonna do it when I get back. I'm just gonna like see. The thing is, I went through this a couple years ago during the quarantine, the shutdown. Because in my head, I was like, "What better time to get a car than now?" But the numbers, it literally was like my whole check, and I knew like I'm not gonna spend one whole check on that, and I still have to pay all these other bills. So I left it. I just left it alone. Worst thing is like it sits on my credit report. I don't care. I don't have a bill that I can't handle. So
Exactly
that's
right.
why I say my score is even better than it was then. So worst case scenario is they give me an offer that I just won't accept.
Mm-hmm.
So when I get back, I'm just gonna go to Subaru since you did your research. I'm gonna go to Subaru and see what year or how far back they want to
Mm-hmm.
take me, so that I could get something that's like I want to pay like 300 a month, but I really don't. I really want less than that, but like the budget is three. I would love the idea of a new car, but I feel like a new car is gonna like push me back too far. They're gonna want like $500, like after taxes, after fees, after everything, and that's without insurance. Like that's a lot of money,
Yeah, that's a lot of money.
and then still gas, and then I still anticipate parking like costs, especially since I'm going back and forth between New York, New Jersey, tolls. So I just anticipate an extra like $100 at the least just for stuff like that, like a $30
Additional
here,
expenses.
$20, $8 here, $9 there.
That's right. You see,
Yeah.
you got your mind in the right place. You're thinking right. Because some people don't think about those things. They just blank it all out. All they know
Yeah.
is, I want a car. This is my car payment, and I'm making so much money. Yeah, I can afford that. But they just blank out all the other stuff that's got to come out of that
Yeah.
paycheck.
Like I'm not gonna be stranded. Like that's what people like. I will never do that. I always have to make sure like there's room after I pay that rent. That rent
Mm-hmm.
takes up everything, and it's like I'm gonna make sure I always have his money, because regardless, I'm gonna pay for where I stay at.
Well, for the money that you're paying for rent, I seriously think you ought to look for a house, and I think you can get away with probably $500 or $600 a month for a house payment. Now, you don't necessarily, your first house doesn't necessarily be your dream house,
Mm-hmm.
but you go look around at a house and you say, I can live in this. This has got a bedroom that I can be satisfied with. It's got a kitchen and a bathroom I'm satisfied with. It's in a neighborhood that I can be satisfied with. That's the important thing, the neighborhood. And then find out what it's going to run you. But I'm pretty sure it's going to be a lot less than what you're paying for rent. A lot less.
That would blow my mind. I'd
Yeah.
be like, yo,
And
I
then
spent.
and the thing about it is, okay, you get this house. It's not really the house you want, but you can live there. Well, in 5 years or so, the value of that house has gone up. Plus, you've been making payments on that house. Now you can look around, go to a real estate and say, let's just say you paid, I don't know, 30,000 was the price of the house when you went there.
Mm-hmm.
The guy tells you, oh, it's worth 45 now. So you got $15,000 there that is unearned money, right? But you've also got that payment that you made. That house was 30,000. Let's just say in that 5 years, just to use some figures, it's now down to 25,
Mm-hmm.
and it went up 15. So now you got $20,000 that you can get in cash that you can use towards a better house, a down payment,
Oh.
a higher down payment that you can use in a better house if you should choose so. If you want to wait another year or 2 years, that amount goes up,
Yeah.
you know, until you can get the house that you want.
Oh wow. I spent a lot of money renting.
Too much, I think.
Way too much. Like
And
it's been really
I
hard
really
paying the
think you ought
rent.
to get a hold of one of these real estate people, because like I said, it don't cost you a dime. Get a hold of one of these real estate people.
Well, everybody wants to check your credit score, and then checking the credit score lowers the score.
Well, I'd get a hold of one of them and see what they got to say.
Yeah.
Say, I'm interested in buying a house. This is what I make. How much of a house can I afford? And they'll give you a figure. They say, well, you can buy a house for $70,000, $80,000, $100,000. They say, with your income and this and that, this is a house that you can afford. And then the next thing I would ask them is, say, okay, the guy says, you can afford $100,000 house. Okay, what are my payments going to be on a $100,000 house? And it all depends on your interest. So they may give you 2 or 3 different payments. They may say at 3% interest, this is going to be your payment. 5% interest, this is what's going to be your payment, etc. And now those are the figures you need to take home and sit down, fix yourself a nice drink, and go over these figures and say what sounds reasonable here. If you decide to do it, you want someone to talk to about it, give me a call. You know, if you want to, that's up to you. And
so with the car, so like, should I go like to like banks and like unions and stuff and try to get a loan and then take that to the dealership, or should
that's a good idea too.
Or should I just go to the dealership and be like, let's find out together. How much can we do?
Well, without committing yourself to anything, you can go either way. You can go to a bank and tell the bank, I'm interested in buying a car, and how much of a car can I afford? And they'll look at your credit and tell you, well, we're willing to loan you dash amount of money. So now you got that amount of money that you can say, okay, this is how much of a car I can afford. Yeah, I think you need it in car first, and then something reasonable to live in second, where it'll lower your monthly output. You know, your rental drop. You're not using public transportation, so your transportation will drop, even though it comes up at the beginning because you got to buy a car.
Mm-hmm.
It will drop down though.
Well, it's interesting because the school semesters now, it's January. It's all we got the summer classes, of course, where you can take a class for the each month, and then you go like every day, Monday through Friday or Monday through Thursday. But I'm like, realistically, I'm probably gonna sign up for January, which is the full semester where you go, once a week or twice a week, whatever you choose. And then either you start January or you start in August. Well, I ain't gonna go for August. I'm gonna go for January, but also January is when my lease is up because I moved on the first. Apparently, I've always moved on the first for a little while now, so I'd have to be looking at the places like around now because I know like the whole house situation takes a while anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So I'd have to look into that. But I think I want to do the car first so I can get to these places and then the house. And then I'll have more money to pay for the school when I start in January. Because I want to graduate 2025 and be done with all this like money stuff. I'll be making hygiene money each hour and travel. I want to try to retire. Like, I want to have like a lot of land as well and not work forever.
In reality, you want to retire as soon as you can, as young as you can, where you can enjoy life. What's the point in you having $1 million in the bank and you're 90 years old and somebody's pushing you around in a wheelchair? You want to retire as soon as you can, that you can take your retirement money and say, okay, I wanted to go to Europe, or I wanted to go to Jamaica, I wanted to go such and such place, or I wanted to buy a certain kind of car, so you can do the things you want to do with your money. And you can look ahead now. The Social Security, I don't know if they've sent it to you automatically or not, but they used to send you a thing uh, at your present rate that, the money is presently paying for Social Security and all that. They'll send you things and say, okay, you can retire in such and such a year. And they'll say, if you retire in this year, this is what you're going to be getting.
Mm-hmm.
Then they go up per year, every so many years, and they'll tell you how much you're going to get. Now you got a better foresight that you look and you're saying, okay, if I retire when I'm 63 years old, this is how much I'm going to get. Can I live off of that? Is that going to be good enough? If I retire when I'm 65 years old, this is how much I'm going to get. Can I live off of that? Am I going to be satisfied with that?
Mm-hmm.
So you can think ahead, to these years and then start doing whatever you got to do between now and those years. One of the things I always wanted to do, and which I did do, is that when I got retired, I wanted to buy a brand new car when I
Yeah.
retired. Not the idea of having a brand new car, it's the idea of having a car that's going to last, you figure, at least 10 years. So you got 10 years in your retirement that you bought this brand new car, it's paid for, that you don't have to worry about a car.
Mm-hmm.
So you bought that car with money that you accumulated while you were working. Now you're not working, you got this new car that you don't have to worry about for a while. So that's one thing off your mind.
Yeah.
That's what I thought, and that's what I did, and it worked out pretty good for me. Except I kept buying new cars. But you got to think about yourself and what your situation is. And what you want. How you want your retirement. And now is not a bad time, for you to think about. You got another. You're 31 now. 41, 51, 61. You got 30 years, to think about it. And if you think right, you might be less than that, and you can afford to retire.
Yeah.
And you don't necessarily have to retire because you can afford to retire. You can keep working and just make your retirement benefits better.
I definitely do. I want to retire where I can comfortably just go places. That's how I want to retire. Like,
That's
I want some kind of super benefits package if possible,
I
or
don't know about
like
all that.
enough. I want to generate income that's gonna keep coming in where I literally do nothing, or like
Mm-hmm.
what I call, or not what I call. I forgot who it is. Some celebrity person, but like it's called like mailbox money, where like you just get a check. You do literally nothing. So I want to work hard enough to put my money into places that I'll always have enough money coming in that I could just say, hey, oh, it's 2,000 to go on that trip. Okay,
Mm-hmm.
I'm on the trip. Like, I want to comfortably go somewhere every 3 months, 4 months, literally every few months, every season.
Mm-hmm.
I'm somewhere else. And I stay home for the 60 day, 90 days. I'm grandma, I'm whatever, I'm auntie, I'm whoever. Then I'm back out wherever I am. Like, I just keep going to different parts of the world. Not the fireworks. That's how I want to retire. Like, I want to be able to say, like, just for like outrageousness, like, oh, I want like spaghetti, and end up in Italy
Mm-hmm.
eating like someone's infamous spaghetti.
Well, like I say, you got your mind is in the right place. So all you got to do now is take your time and work up a plan, think the plan out, and once you feel that this plan is going to meet my goals, then you start towards that, implementing that plan towards your goals.
Mm-hmm. I'm just like, I have that plan like now because it's like become a hygienist, That's the plan. And with the hygiene, use that money towards doing these things that I want to do because I want to live life now while I can and
While you can enjoy it.
yeah, and while I can literally enjoy it and I don't have to worry about nothing. Like, so with that part, it's just I don't know if it's like fight through, take a bus, take a cab every now and again. Then it's like, yeah, I don't really see that. I see the car, but I also feel like I'm kind of forcing it. But like that's the plan for like right now, and I'm just like I just gonna take it aside. Like just go to the dealership. The worst thing they can do is give you an offer you can't take, and then from there, like I never considered getting my own house because of that water heater. But like if it's gonna be inspected and people will figure it out, I guess so. Like that's
Well,
just been
because
my
a
biggest
water
worry.
heater broke down, that ain't nothing. You know, getting your own house. There's very few things. There's your water heater, your furnace. What else can break down? That's a major. Those are the two major things, and those aren't things that break down every day. Now, something could go wrong with them, and then you have to call a repairman in.
Mm-hmm.
So you got another choice too. When you buy the house, you can say, I can keep all of this and let it last as long as I can, or I'll just cut everything and just go ahead and buy it all new and save up. That's what I did here, but that's not necessarily the right thing because there was nothing wrong with the furnace and stuff I had here. I could have used it until it broke down, then go buy a new one. It might have
Yeah.
been another couple of years or whatever. But that's the way my mind was working. I had it in my mind. I didn't want to play around. So like I said, I put a roof on, didn't need it. I put a new furnace and hot water heater in there, didn't need it. But now my mind is clear.
Yeah.
I don't have none of this to worry about.
Not some someday
Mm-hmm.
worry.
So, I mean, that was me. You don't necessarily have to do that. You can do something else.
Mm-hmm.
But I think in 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 order is your car first, because I think the car is going to save you a lot of aggravation and money as far as travel. The
Mm-hmm.
aggravation is waiting on the bus, being out in the cold, being out in the rain. Uh, you want to go to the store, and the store is 10 blocks away, and now you don't have no transportation, so you got to walk. So this way, you want to go to that 10-block store, you get in the car, and you go 10 blocks.
Yeah,
It takes
two
you 5
minutes
minutes.
at
Yeah.
that versus 30 minutes just to get there.
Yeah. So I would say a car first, then clear your health, so that you're not double dipping in your in debt,
Mm-hmm.
and then start looking for a place to stay, looking for a house. And like I said, it doesn't necessarily have to be the house you want. You just want something that's going to save you money over your rent.
Yeah.
If you can buy a house and pay $500 or $600 a month versus what 13 whatever it was you said you were paying,
Mm-hmm.
you know, now you're accumulating money. You got money that you're not spending.
Yeah.
So now you can accumulate that towards your next goal. The next goal might be a better house. It might be something else you want.
Now you gotta tell me how to find a quality husband.
I haven't been able to find a quality wife, so. And it seems hard because your personality and everything is cool. Really cool.
Thanks.
And,
I try to be a cool cat and Cayne.
So usually you can tell somebody ain't right. You all right, but I think what's happening with you just run into these guys that take advantage of you. I mean, that's my feeling.
Mm-hmm.
I sit there, listen to you talk, and what I see from your personality, I said she's running into these guys that ain't nothing but pimps. They just take advantage, and there's so many of them out there. Believe me, I'm a man, and like I said, I see them out there. I used to go to the bars and the clubs, and you know these guys that are just standing around, looking to talk to some chick that's gonna buy them a drink. They're looking to move in with some chick that's got their own apartment and got a job.
Yeah.
Now they're ready to move in.
Mm-hmm.
They're gonna be great lovers. So
it's funny because they move in and can't do nothing with it. Mm-hmm. Like you get the goal. Like okay, it is what it is, right? You got in there. Mm-hmm. You would think oh, they're gonna do everything to keep that. Like you got the pot of gold, you're gonna keep it clean. No, they
Yeah.
don't take out garbage. They don't want. They want to argue. They want to fuss. You
Yep.
can't fill the fridge. You can't help with the light bill. If
Hmm.
you can't help with the rent, can't you pay a light bill or the internet? You know, like
Well, number one, before you let somebody move in with you in the future, you ought to discuss all of that ahead of time.
oh, I've tried, but I'm at the point where I honestly think I don't want to live with another person again. It's been a lot, and like you know what, I'm kind of over the negotiations of it, and I seem to really attract people who like they don't keep their words. Like
Mm-hmm.
I wrote out like had a we sitting down. I had the actual yellow pen paper. Had the pen like wrote down. Internet is this much. The rent is this much. I want to spend about this much on groceries, and then I allocated an extra hundred something for whatever.
Mm-hmm.
You know, you want to buy a bottle. You want to take a cab instead of the bus. You running late. You want to try this brand of so. He's like, you know what I'm saying? You end up spending extra money regardless. You're outside, you're thirsty. Like it is what it is. I wrote it all out, said how much are we gonna do on this bill? And still like it was like, oh no. I'll have something for you this day. I'm gonna give you $100 every week. No, every other day. I'm gonna do this. Like so now I've reached a point where I said, you know, I've tried all methods. So I think I'm just gonna stay by living by myself.
Tell them to keep their own place. Because
Yeah.
most of the time when you run into people like that, they ain't got no place. They're staying with their parents, their sister, and or they're staying in a substandard place, and they find out it's only temporary. They
Mm-hmm.
just moved in a week ago or 2 weeks ago from someplace else, which is the same thing. So no, you do better to sort of stay by yourself and come and visit, but don't stay too long.
Yeah, no, that's literally what my new plan is. It's like, you know what? I want someone who could be like, yeah, you come on Friday, you leave on Sunday.
Mm-hmm.
Like a normal person. Like, or you, in general, you spend about 2 days, three at the max, and then you go back where you came from. And if we decide to get married, I still think we should kind of keep separate households if we can really afford it. If we
Well,
can't, we can't. But I think we should have separate live. Or I think the whole family house.
you should be able to go to his house and spend some time instead of having them come over to your house. And their place is cool for the other woman
Mm-hmm.
or whatever they want to do. So you should have it set up. You coming over here on the weekend, fine. I'll be over at your house Wednesday, and I'll stay from Wednesday to Friday.
Mm-hmm.
You know, and the next week I'll be over there on Monday to Wednesday.
Yeah.
So don't give them that clear house that they can come over to your house and everything is cool, but now they got a clear front on their house. If they got one, 9 times out of 10 they don't really have any place to stay. They're looking, and like I said, I'm a man. I look, I see go to the bar, and I see these guys. They just looking for a woman that's got a job and a place to stay, so they can move in and
Mm-hmm.
swear that they're gonna do all these great things for them, and they ain't doing nothing. So they stay there as long as they can, and in the meanwhile, they're looking for somebody else.
Mm-hmm. Where it's so creepy. It's just so creepy. Like, I don't know, how do you say, like, all right, how do you know when, like, enough is enough is enough? Where, like, a person, you give them a chance and they're, like, they're mean and they do stuff. Or regardless, right? Because there is my side, their side, and then the actual, like, truth of both of them. And we could both have rights in regards to, like, oh, no, you're right at that part and maybe I was wrong and maybe I'm right and they were wrong. But it's like, regardless, if I end up sad and I am unhappy, and then it's like, okay, I give you another chance.
No.
And I'm sad and unhappy, and another chance, and another chance. And it's like,
see, now that's your fault. All these chances.
yeah. It's
and
like,
I can understand. Look, I know how it feels. Nobody wants to be by themselves.
Mm-hmm.
You really want a companion, someone to be with, someone that you can do things with, that you can talk to.
I want to go through life with
love
the
grows.
person. Yeah,
Love grows. So you need to
exactly.
have a friend first that you or a companion, I should say, that you're comfortable with each other,
Hmm.
and then without forcing anything, see how it grows from there. But like you run into these guys, the first thing they want to do after they, dated you a few times is move in with you. No, wait a minute. I'll move in with you. You
Hmm.
know, you can keep your place, pay your rent. I'll move in with you. Bring a couple of dresses and things. Let me move in with you. Now see how it is now.
Yeah.
You know, but that ain't what they want. No, they don't want you to move in with them because they want to keep that clear front for whatever they want to do. Either that, or they don't really have a front.
Hmm.
That they're staying with their sister or their mother or somebody else, and the mother or the sister done told them they got to get out. Now they're looking to move in with you and freeload.
Hmm. I've had a mix of all the above. I've had the mother tell him he had to get out, so all of a sudden he wanted to live together. I've had he got evicted. I've had like word, like where do you live? Like it was so weird.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's so weird to deal with someone, and then like you realize like word, where's your home? Like where do you reside, sir? Like what's your mailing address? Like why are you getting mail at my house? Who are
See, that's a lot of that's your fault. That's the stuff that should have been done
word.
early in the relationship. Where do you live? Can I come to your house?
Hmm.
Now you got a guy that can't have a woman come to his house. There's something wrong right there.
And then I've had like their crib is just unsuitable.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's just unsuitable for them. It's unsuitable for me. It's just an uncomfortable space, and I'm not going there.
Okay.
And then I've had like the guy who literally left his whole house. There could have been something else to it. I don't know, but he did leave his whole house, packed up a U-Haul, and came all the way across the country
Something's wrong there.
just to do
There was a,
nothing.
they was about to evict him anyway. There's something wrong when you see people you don't just up and leave your house. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
If I wanted to come live with you, and I'm not gonna just walk out not paying the mortgages or anything. First thing you're gonna do is say, okay, this is my house. I'm gonna rent it out. Now there's an income, and there's someone here that's gonna take care of the house. Hopefully, now I come over there to you. You don't just say, okay, baby, I love you so much. I'm leaving everything. I'm just coming over there. That don't make sense.
Mm-hmm.
You know.
Where it was always suspicious. But like it was so weird.
Mm-hmm.
I've had the most weirdest relationships that ever exist. They're so weird. The stories are just so bizarre, but they're all me being like, I'm so hopeful. Like no, like this
No,
will work
I
out
know where you're
if
coming
I
from.
wait long enough, if I try long enough, if I give more patience, if I just try something different, if I try to give you what it is that you're looking, asking for, wanting, this may work. It just might. If I try a second time and a third time, it's definitely gonna work. Like
Believe me, I understand where you're coming from. But like I said, you see me out here, I'm still single. But I don't
but
have a
you had
lot
a
of women.
wife. You had
Mm-hmm.
a wife. You had children. You've had healthy, happy
Mm-hmm.
relationships.
All my relationships that I've ever had, we've never broke up on hard feelings. Almost
Mm-hmm.
every woman that I've known, there ain't been a whole lot. We're on good relationships. We're on friendly relationships. Like I said, one woman, the reason we broke up is because I wouldn't move in with her.
Mm-hmm.
I just kept my independence. I got to have a roof over my head with my name on the door,
Mm-hmm.
not a roof over my head with your name on the door. And then when you get mad and say, you got to get your butt out of here, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, 2 below 0,
Mm-hmm.
and you call the cop says, you got to go. This is in her name. You got to go.
Why didn't
So
she want to get a place together?
no, I'm just saying, I've always kept, just That might have worked. I don't even remember who it was at the time. Oh, it was Bernice. Bernice had a house. That's what it was.
Oh,
She had a house.
and you had a house.
No, I didn't have a house. I lived in an apartment.
Oh,
And she wanted me to move in with her in her house, and I wouldn't move in. That's how we broke up. But I mean, we're friends to this day. You know, we still talk and all of that.
yeah.
But no, I always had to be. That's me, independent. You know, I gotta have my name on the door.
Yeah, I'm the same way. My name finna be on that door. I don't play that. I've never moved nowhere where my name wasn't on it. Or the one place that I did move where my name was on it, like it was known I live here. I got mail there, like I lived there, and I wasn't there for that long. I stayed there long enough, and every penny I got and got my own. So like that's how I got my first place. I was living there, and I knew I was like, oh no, I will not be comfortable where I can't just like first of all, where I can't do what I want because this ain't my space.
Mm-hmm.
So I made sure I saved everything and got out.
Keep your independence as much as you can. You know, rather be there. Like I said, if you ever decide to come out this way, I'd help you try to find some place that you're on your own. I know there's a lot of dentists out here, so you probably won't have any problem getting a job. But then you got to look for the security of the job you're in right now. And, you know, you don't want to just give that up with empty space out there that you don't have,
Yeah.
you know, a job. But like say you got 2 weeks vacation, you may say, okay, I'm gonna take those 2 weeks, go out to Ohio. I'm just saying, if you wanted to come out this way, go out to Ohio and look around and see what I can do. What jobs are gonna run? What's an apartment gonna run? You know,
Mm-hmm.
what is my situation gonna be out there? And is it worth me, you know, taking a chance? You know.
Mm-hmm.
But you got your mind in the right place. You got everything together in the right place. It's just a matter that, you know, whatever plan you got to start working it and get it going. If you don't feel that, you know, you're going to stay where you are, you know, as far as living, then it's fine. Just keep everything going and periodically look around someplace else and see if you're going to be, you know, comfortable someplace else. Just like you said, you wanted to look around here just to see, you know, what the place looked like.
Yeah.
You know, and it's nice. That's the most noise you're gonna hear that on New Year's.
Oh.
You see how quiet it is out there.
Yeah.
And but the New Year's, I think it's a house. No, it sounds. Yeah, I'm pretty sure it's something over there. He had some stuff go off over there one time. It sounded like a cannon. Boom. And those are all white people. There's one black family lived down the street, and then I seen some black people when we was pulling out here today. I seen some black people up the street here. But so far, I like it over here. It's been good, you know. Like I say, the neighbors, I don't even know their names. They know mine evidently because they keep calling me Mr. Cayne. But you know, we hello, how's the grass, and you know, little small conversations.
Yeah.
And you know, they seem to be friendly. A tree fell down in my front yard one time, and the guy next door came and he says, "Hey, come on, I'll help you cut that tree up." You know.
Aww.
So it's been pretty good. The people behind me, that gray house there was a young couple there. I don't think they're there anymore. I've seen some kids out there that didn't look familiar. They called me, you know, I don't know, I used to see them at the fence all the time, and they invited me over there to see the house. They had redid everything in there.
Ooh.
They did a hell of a job in there. And they had a party over there one time, and they invited me over to the party, you know. But I don't knock on their door, and they don't knock on mine, you know. And I think that couple is gone. I haven't really seen them out there.
friendly.
I don't want people in the neighborhood constantly knocking on your door and coming in when, you know, just like we're sitting here and all of a sudden, boom, the next door neighbor comes over. He wants to come. No, you know.
Like a sitcom.
Yeah. I'd rather just keep it the way it is. I see you outside. Hey, how you doing? Your grass is looking good, you know.
I do, but I don't want it from neighbors. I want like random friends, but like not random, but like we're that close that like they randomly be like, you know, I was in your neighborhood, or like, girl, I just want to talk about this in person, like because you know I'm not doing anything because we talk all the time. You're like, girl, whatever. Like you're just in my fridge, and you just whatever. I go to bed. You're having a hard time. You just hang out. Like my kids are always like around. It's to the point where like when I have the house to myself, it's like, but like I don't want that right now. I want that like another 10 years from now. Like right now, no. I like my peace and quiet. I like that ain't nothing going on. And like if I turn the music on, I turn the music on. And like I like the fact that my neighbors and I are respectful. Like you don't hear a whole. I don't blast my music all crazy. Like it's really nice.
It sounds like you're comfortable there, so you know, hang in there.
Oh no, but if I could live in the same neighborhood and pay less, then that's what I'm gonna go for. Like that is the only concerns why I never went for a house, or like why I don't consider living in a house by myself, is because I know water heaters can blow your whole thing, and then you're stuck in a house with no hot water.
So you call the guy the next day. You went without hot water today, so you call the guy the next day. They come in, repair or replace. Now you're good for 10, 15 years.
Yeah, but isn't it like $10,000?
No, hot water heaters.